Great, thanks Enrica, and thank you everyone once again for your insightful presentations. And I'd like to thank our audience on LinkedIn as well as on Zoom for attending our first global event. Now, I would like to kick off the discussion with a recurring theme from today's presentations, which was the lack of quality articles or quality writers, but journals can't exist without quality articles and covering up-to-date information which your readers demand. So I would like to invite everyone to maybe talk about tips you have from based on your experience. How do you entice authors to write for your journals? How have you successfully created a diverse network of authors for your journal? Perhaps, I don't know, Enrica, I'm going to pick on you because I know you. So would you like to maybe start?
Okay, thank you. So regarding your first thought was on quality. So indeed, we need to define what quality is. To write articles on a monthly basis, and quite many, you ask the question, what is quality for you? So quality for us is when we deliver a clear message to practitioners, because practitioners say what we have to do in the certain situation. So in the journal, we try to provide answers, what they need to do, what a case law, what an implication case law has for them. And the authors, we find quite simply, we look for experts in their areas. And as Lore said, maybe they haven't written an article yet, but if you invite and if you collaborate in writing an article, so this becomes a great content. So Lore, word to you.
Hi. Oops. Yeah, I sort of agree with you. The question is, what do you mean by quality? Look, of course, I'm always happy when articles are very well written, and I'm usually most of the time surprised. But what I really look for is ideas. I don't really mind if it's not well written, as long as there are ideas and content. I can write. I can rewrite everything, I think. So I don't really mind. But when I see that somebody who's got technical knowledge, who has idea, they of course they won't formulate it the right way, but it doesn't matter because I'm here. You know what I mean? So I feel like as a WCO, because I'm supporting my members, I offer this service. And of course, it's a lot of work, but I am giving time and to do that. So although it's exhausting and
It's rewarding, isn't it,
but
when you see
it's
good
very rewarding. Yeah.
content?
So quality for me is people who come up with content, with ideas that are very personal or really an experience that is personal. Not just as it was mentioned, a cut and paste. I don't want cut and paste. I want something that comes from somebody, even if it's not well written.
So
I don't mind about the
originality then.
Yeah, and really like you can feel when somebody puts a lot of efforts in trying to say something. Most of the time I have experience, I will understand it. Let's put it this way. If I don't understand it, I know which question to ask. So
yeah, so in terms of them finding people with these original ideas, obviously before the pandemic, it was quite easy to attend a conference and identify them that way. But I have a question, perhaps it's for Professor Wolfgang and Jeffrey, who talked a lot about networking, creating a network. But do you feel like the pandemic has helped you to identify these original thinkers for your journals?
Maybe I can start. Thank you very much for the question. The pandemic has indeed changed the situation, not only a little bit more, I would say. We have more strength in our network, I would say, because of the virtual meetings now. And when we had time before, there were the meetings on site, and there was travel within Europe or worldwide, and so it's much easier to get into contact. And regarding the quality and the network for authors, I would say we are in INCU, we are in a comfortable position. We have around about 200 institutions as members, and there are a lot of researchers and young colleagues who are keen to publish their ideas. So we have a lot of offers regarding publication in our journal, and we have the other problem with the quality assurance then, of course, but there is our system of peer review, so that's not such a problem for us as well. So we are, from this point of view, we are in a comfortable position. On the other side, we have a lot of readers because our journal is, as you know, free of charge via the internet, and you can read. Everybody can read it worldwide, in Africa, in Asia, in the United States, or other American countries or so. And so the authors know that they are read, and I think this is the most important for an author. He wants to be read. He wants not only to be published, but he wants to be read, and that is, we can offer that in our journal.
Thank you, Professor Wolfgang. And Jeffrey, do you share this view? Because I mean, you mentioned that your journal is for practitioners, by practitioners who don't often have time to write, and they're busy tackling fires started by their clients, perhaps, maybe, valuation, for example. So what's your view on quality and getting authors to write for your journal or blog?
It's a very good question, and something that we struggle with constantly, especially because of my objectives of increasing diversity. And what this does is, I push for authors in Latin America, push for authors in many places. The journal was started 16 years ago and really had a focus on European customs and WTO. And I've really tried to expand it to identify contributions from many other sources. So that expansion, for instance, I've spent a lot of time. We have a lot of writers who write about China and about trade and customs with China, but not a lot of authors from China. And this is a challenge because practitioners, lawyers in China are not as, they want to be working and they want to be, providing advice and making money. They don't want to be writing, and writing is not as valuable to them in their career development or in their profile building as it is in Europe, for instance. And in Europe, it's very easy to get practitioners to write because they see it as part of their professional obligation. And so spending time to develop authors in other jurisdictions does mean that you have a wide range of quality, especially when there's not, perhaps the same history or legacy of scholarship in the practitioner's area. There may be in the academic area, and so very often I'm working very hard to try to pair someone who, as Laura said, has original ideas or content, as you said, with a co-author. So I try to find a co-author that can work together with them so that the ideas can come out and the writing can improve. And both, authors then have an opportunity to get something published, and the quality then is enhanced that way. I try to do that with younger practitioners and more senior practitioners, to combine them or to pair them up, if you will. If I identify a common interest that they might have and say, why don't you guys work together on this? By and large, if we take the 100 submissions, 50 of them may need very little work, and the editorial board can help me with that. But the other 50, we have to really decide how much time do we have, how much can we put into it, and the way we decide on that is as you said, Laura, with content, originality. Is this a message? Is this information that needs to get out there? And so then we may devote more time to it. We definitely don't rewrite things, but we provide a lot of commentary and a lot of suggestions about how to take an article that may originally have been designed for an academic setting and turn that into, because there's good content in there, how do we turn that into a message, as Enrique says, for practitioners? We don't always get it right. We don't always, sometimes the articles are less practical than we'd like, but we really try to have dual goals, the quality, but also diversity. I'll stop.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I know that, you know, everyone's global, but we're all based in different countries. And I'd just like to move to Germany, where we have a classical publisher and a new journal on digital tech and customs. So I don't know, like, would you like to just maybe share a bit more comments on how you ensure quality of journals? For example, have you contemplated paying writers? We have one comment from an attendee who also has their own scientific journal.
So being the classical publisher, I may elaborate on this a little. By the way, as to the language question, I didn't mention this. Technically, we do publish more in English than in German, but we decided clearly to have our journal in German because, as the Lithuanian lady said, it's a difference if you really address people in the mother tongue or in English. Whilst for a global journal, there is no alternative than English. This is pretty clear. Huh? And in this also classical view, we say a journal should be paid, so we have a paid journal against subscription. So it's we can say it's a rather symbolic price against the efforts which are incurred, but it's paid, and we also pay authors. So we think this is a classical way of and as Jeff said, so also a classical author's remuneration is not comparable to a lawyer's fee. So that will not be the driver here, but it just shows the in a way appreciation of the actual engagement. So we like this classical style in a classical publication. Things can be made a bit different, but I think this also contributes to the result here.
And Janine, what are your views?
Yeah, as I said, I mean, we are just started, and from my point of view, for our journal, it is important to have really a practical view on the digitalization things, because what we see is that often, I mean, the buzzwords existing like artificial intelligence and what we are often heard from our customers, they want to automate the process and everything. But if we then go into the office and see the data, master data, for example, there's a big difference between what you need to do in the first step. So from my point of view, quality or what I understand from quality perspective is to give really best practice and experience and knowledge to the customs experts, and for example, how to analyze my master data and 10 steps, for example, we are looking for people how they would like to share their experience and projects, not the academic view.
So just like, I know that you mentioned academic just now, and Boris, when you gave your presentation, you said your journal is open access and peer review, etc. So I gather that means you're not charging for the journal, you're not paying for the author. So how do you ensure the quality of your articles?
Thank you. Well, actually, speaking about the academic journal, there are pretty straightforward criteria of the quality of the articles, starting from the originality and then actually the structure, the references, etc., etc., etc. And on top of that, we have a peer review. Basically, we send the articles to reviewers, and they actually give us their opinion about the quality of the article, and they may recommend or not recommend. And on top of that, we have editorial board, and we decide if the specific article would be interesting to our readers. From the very start, you are relying on the invited content, and then you build in a little bit of kind of a network of the authors, of the reviewers, and I'd start the process. Basically, right now we are rejecting about 2/3 of the articles that are sent to us, basically for quality reasons, or sometimes this article just doesn't fit to the actually aim scope, or sometimes you just understand that this topic is, actually there are a lot of stuff printed on this topic, so there is no use to print another article, and something like that.
Yeah, that sounds good. I guess as editor, you do have to shape the journal, what topics have been covered and what you think the readers might be interested in. So maybe moving on to David, if I may. David, you've been one of the most popular panelists, I have to say. Lots of people are into bread, it seems, and they are targeting many questions at you. And I was wondering, do you feel like there's a trade-off between maybe like fame and topics? So sometimes maybe classification is quite popular, but perhaps less popular topics like origin, for example, it's harder to grasp and fewer readers may want to click. Like, do you feel like journals also have an obligation to cover difficult topics?
Well, yeah, I think if it's easy, there's really not that much point. Like, I mean, the whole idea is, for me, to take an analogy, is to take the tough piece of meat, chew it, and then it's more digestible for everybody else to digest. And it's easier for everybody else to digest it. So it's to kind of translate. Like, I mean, I'll do the thinking, and I'll translate it into kind of a more digestible format, and then it's easier to consume then. But that'll be my thinking on it. Now, I know that's just, I think, the mark maybe that our journal is reaching at. There's probably more academic journals that probably, they just throw it out there, and if you're academic enough to understand it, then that's okay. But I think I would feel the responsibility to break down the topic a little bit more so that it's easier for the readership to understand.
Thanks, David, for sharing your insights. And just moving on, then before I wrap up the discussion, Milt and Monica, you run a journal that's in a really kind of unique and lucky position, I guess, whereby you write it in the language in the mother tongue of your readers, written by people who also have Lithuania as their mother tongue. So yeah, do you feel like this, without the language barrier, you're always guaranteed enough content to publish each journal, or do you also struggle to find a diverse range of authors?
Thank you, Jessica. Well, I'm not sure if the language is the main factor of finding the author. It's really, you can choose from a smaller amount of them, but also you can be sure that they really know the market and really know the issues that are relevant to Lithuania. So it's like, yeah, both.
And I can also add that there are some topics that are the same relevant for, let's say, Lithuanian market as for international market. So it's that it's worth to publish in both language, in English and in Lithuanian. So as Monica already presented, that our articles are also translated into English and are being published in Pasaulinis.
Sounds good. Yeah, unfortunately, I think English is still the go-to language, and to me, it feels like from this discussion that editors value quality or content, originality. So quality is not necessarily the correct, well, of course, the correct use of languages would be great, but content is number one importance. So just to wrap up the discussion then, I think it would be really interesting for our audience to hear about your next edition. in particular, maybe if you could tell us about an article you're most looking forward to publishing, or a particular topic that you want more authors to write about. I'll just maybe invite you to speak in turns. Laurie, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure. The next edition topic is not going to be of much interest for you because it's about people-related issues such as recruitment, personal development, training, leadership. You know, the WCO doesn't deal only with technical custom issues, with also organizational issues. So I'm not sure it will be of interest for anyone. I just edited an article that is looking at how you can help employees be aware of who they are and what drives them. And I found that very interesting, but yeah, it's not custom.
Yeah, maybe you can share, Enrica, perhaps we can publish links to the articles or topics the editors mention after the event.
Sure, but these are in preparation, not published yet.
It's in preparation. It
yes,
will
as
be
in
really,
the future.
It will be issued in
yes.
June. Yes.
So something to look forward to for everyone. Yes, Professor Wolfgang.
Thank you. We are looking forward to get and to publish articles, for example, regarding the regional agreements, the free trade agreements, which are increasing worldwide and which have a lot of questions in regard for rules of origin as well, which was mentioned before. This is one of the points, and other points could be the review of the revised Kyoto Convention and the other activities which are just going on in WCO, which will have a big impact for all national legislations regarding customs law, for example. Or the other point, the third point I would like to mention is what with the IT was mentioned before. This is, of course, one topic which is important from an academic point of view as well. These are the three topics we are looking forward to, and hope to receive a lot of articles in this regard, but I'm sure there will be some.
Thank you, Professor Wolfgang. Jeffrey, I see you nodding. So are those also the topics that you would like to publish on in the future?
No, he makes me want to read them. I can't wait. They are important topics, I think, especially, FTAs and, qualification. I mean, obviously it's a revenue question, but it's also, from a corporate standpoint, it's a very important issue. So I look forward to that. Right now, I'm very excited about our year-end issue, which will be focusing on trade in Africa. It's something that several of the editors have been wanting to do for some time, and we have contributions from a wide variety of authors. It's still very early in the development. I don't have any of the final articles yet, but identifying and seeing who's there, I think is going to be exciting, and I'm looking forward to that. My main topic for 2022 really is going to be involved with supply chain. I think that sourcing and supply chain issues are becoming much more critical. They have been obviously forever, but they're becoming much more critical with this intersection between human rights and trade. And so I'm looking forward to that, and we'll be calling or asking for articles in that area, definitely. Thank you.
Well, I hope this event will help you find more authors on these interesting topics. And I can't remember who mentioned earlier, customs is interdisciplinary and multifaceted. So I think it's great that your journal is covering all of these aspects. Now, moving on, Enrica and David, would you like to share your thoughts?
So at the moment, I'm very excited. Also, rules of origin is the topic of interest to us, and I'm very excited to receiving contributions on the direct transport rule. We here in Lithuania have a very clearly defined law, how customs issues non-manipulation certificates. So we are exploring topic in other countries, whether there are the certificates or not. And we have received already contributions from the UK, Switzerland, the Ukraine, the Vietnam, Mexico. So I'm very excited about that to publish the article.
Rules of origin got another vote. David?
Jessica, well, I've literally just published my latest article. As I mentioned in my presentation earlier on, it is just a broad overview of the repercussions for my country as a result of Brexit. So I probably have to reload the inspiration box again now to try and see what my next article will be about. But that's I'm all out of ideas for the time being, Jessica.
Thank you, David. Boris?
As for our plans, actually, next month we will have a special issue. It's almost complete. It's on the China's Belt and Road Initiative impact on trade and regulations in Eastern Europe. We are gonna have insights from Georgia, Ukraine, and Baltic states. And I do hope it will be interesting for our readers. As for the papers, actually, I always liked when I come across with some fresh ideas or something I do not expect to receive, but you open it and you say, wow, we need to publish it, something like that. Thank you.
So pleasant surprises then. And Kolya, any particular topics or articles you're excited about?
Well, we I think have heard of quite a number of topics now, and apart from the organizational one of WCO, which may not be a practitioner's problem directly, maybe indirectly as to human resources. I think our topics are not that different. It's maybe more how our national view on is. So we will also have a supply chain legislation in Germany, which is in a way competing then against the one to be established in the EU. Of course, we have the TCA repercussions, but what I liked from the or found as a similarity from the foregoing speakers is when you have a themed journal like WCO has, and what also Jeff said, then the challenge really is to, and I think it's the same with Boris Belt and Road one, to get different authors on a playing field on which they elaborate on the same subject, that you have the different perspective. This is what we all the time doing in our focuses. And I think this is the real challenge, because the single article often is not so much the problem, but really to get a themed and focused result. And this, I think, sometimes is more challenging than the subject as such, because as I said, so also the world of foreign trade is really large and intricate. Our subject matters are not that various. So
yes.
Also when you publish on gardening and horses, you will also have recurring subjects, I suppose. Huh?
Thank you, Kolya. Janine and Tanya.
Well, I'm looking most forward to an article that is in the realm of e-learning. So how e-learnings can contribute to deepening knowledge of customs experts while on the job, in contrast to the classical seminars that you visit and you're blocked for a day or even worse, a week.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm really looking forward to that, but we haven't scheduled it yet. So, but that's a topic that I'm really interested in. I love working on that.
I see Enrica nodding. I think you two will be speaking after this event on e-learning. And finally, Monica and Milda, what are you most looking forward to in the next edition?
Who is first? Maybe I will share, because I'm, as Monica, also valuation and transfer pricing passionate person, but actually now my working is to e-commerce. So for me, this topic is hot now, and I also had invited some colleagues to write these topics. I invited one from Norway to share his opinion, and I also waiting forward for one very charming expert, Professor Marianne from Belgium. She also some years ago presented a very nice advanced VAT collection solution. So I would like to ask her to present her opinion from today's perspective. What does she think now about, let's say, IOSS system? It would be also very nice to hear.
Great. Thank you. And Monica, do you share the same thought, or do you have another article different to what Milda just mentioned?
Yeah, I'm also into customs valuation, so I'm just thinking about writing something about the trends of the European Court of Justice to have that real economic value of goods, that the support in GATT that the concept has. So it's like more academical, but I'm thinking of the practical approach as well.
Great, thank you. And Jenny, you disappeared off a video earlier, so would you like to maybe share your comment before we wrap up?
Yeah, I would say I'm also interested in the development of the e-commerce sector and the digital customs customs clearance processes there, and the connection to the e-commerce. And yeah, that's for me a very, very hot topic, as Milda already said.
Yeah, I think that is quite a hot topic given the upcoming change in July. So this marks the end of the discussion session. Now over to you, Enrica, for the final set of poll question and final remarks.
We won't do that poll. It doesn't function. We experienced already at the beginning, and we exceeded our time. So I will be short. Sincere thank you to all the speakers. I enjoyed the discussion, and I hope everyone so much that we could discuss for 2 more hours more, but yeah, the time is limited for everyone. And thank you so much for all attendees. I hope the event inspired you as it was intended to read the journals, to write the articles, and maybe to start a new journal. So we all are looking forward to cooperate with you, to share advices, know-how, what we can. And also I hope to meet everybody next year in the second global webinar, Journals on Customs. And from this event, as already said, the materials will be shared on the event's website, and also there will be placed the record of this webinar for the people who couldn't attend to take a look. So thank you very much, everybody, for the rich discussion and great presentations. Have all the best in your great work you do.